The alarms screamed through every corridor of the ship. Red lights flashed against metal walls. People ran in every direction, their boots pounding against the floor like thunder. Yuna pressed her back against the cold wall of the maintenance shaft. Her left leg was trapped under a heavy beam that had fallen when the ship crashed. She could feel the bone grinding against metal. The pain was so bad that her vision went white at the edges. Help. She screamed into her communication device. Someone. I'm in shaft 7. I can't move. Static answered her first. Then a voice broke through. Taiho Yuna. Where are you? The evacuation order just came. We have maybe 10 minutes before the Rethok ships arrive. Shaft 7, she said through gritted teeth. A beam fell on my leg. I can't get out. She heard Taiho curse. She heard other voices in the background, people shouting, crying, praying. The ship groaned around her like a dying animal. I'm coming, Taiho said. Hold on. Yuna closed her eyes. Her fingers were shaking. She could taste blood in her mouth from where she had bitten her tongue when the beam fell. Around her, the walls of the maintenance shaft were cracked and broken. Wires hung from the ceiling like dead snakes. The air smelled of smoke and burning metal. She was 24 years old. She had joined the colonization mission because she wanted to see new worlds. She wanted to build things. She wanted to matter. Now she was going to die in a dark hole on a planet that didn't even have a real name. Just a number. Korath 7 minutes passed. Each second felt like an hour. Yuna tried to move the beam herself, but it was too heavy. She tried to pull her leg free, but the pain nearly made her pass out. Then she heard footsteps. Fast, desperate footsteps. Taiho. She called out. But it wasn't just Taiho. She could hear other voices now. Older voices. Authority in them. We don't have time, someone said. Captain Minho. She recognized his cold, steady tone. The Rethok will be here in 4 minutes. If we're still on the ground when they arrive, everyone dies. She's right there. Taiho shouted. Give me 2 minutes. I can get her out. You have 30 seconds to get back to the ship, or I leave you too. Silence. Yuna's heart stopped. She could hear Taiho breathing hard just around the corner. She could hear his feet shifting on the broken floor. Taiho, she said softly. Taiho, please. I'm sorry. His voice cracked. Yuna, I'm so sorry. The footsteps retreated. All of them. Getting farther and farther away. No, Yuna whispered. Then louder. No. Don't leave me, please. Please don't leave me here. She screamed until her throat went raw. She screamed as she heard the engines of the ship begin to roar. She screamed as the ground shook beneath her through a crack in the shaft wall. She could see a slice of gray sky. She watched the ship rise. The new dawn. Her home for 3 years. Everyone she knew. Everything she had. It got smaller and smaller. A dot of light. Then nothing. The sky was empty. Yuna lay there in the darkness, her legs still trapped, her voice gone. She couldn't even cry. The shock was too deep for tears. She was alone. The planet seemed to know it too. The wind outside made a sound like laughing. The alien trees creaked and groaned. Somewhere in the distance, something howled. Why, Yuna didn't know how long she lay there. Maybe an hour. Maybe more. The pain in her leg had become a dull, constant thing. She was getting cold. Shock was setting in. Then she heard new sounds. Not human sounds. Heavy footsteps, but wrong somehow. Too many legs? And voices that clicked and hissed. The Rethok. She had seen pictures of them during mission briefings. Tall creatures, almost 3 meters high. For arms, skin like gray stone. Eyes that glowed faint yellow in the dark. The Galactic Council called them a warrior species. They controlled 12 star systems and were known for 2 things: conquest and hunting. Light suddenly flooded the maintenance shaft. A Rethok stood at the opening, looking down at her. Its mouth opened to reveal rows of sharp teeth. It made a sound that might have been a laugh. More of them gathered. 5, 10. They spoke to each other in their clicking language. Yuna couldn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. Excitement, amusement, one of them reached down and grabbed her. Its hand was rough and cold, like being held by a statue. It pulled her out of the shaft easily, beam and all. Another Rethok simply broke the beam apart with its bare hands. Yuna's leg was free, but she couldn't stand. The bone was definitely broken. She fell to the ground, gasping. The Rethok gathered around her in a circle. They looked down at her like children looking at a strange insect. One of them spoke. Its voice was deep and grinding, and to her shock, the words were in broken human language. "Small thing," it said. "Soft thing. You are human." Yuna didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat was still raw from screaming. The Rethok leaned closer. Its yellow eyes studied her. "We have never hunted human before," it said. "Your species is new to us. The council says you are weak. Tier 9, not worth hunting." Straightened up and looked at the others. They clicked at each other, making a decision. Finally, the leader turned back to her. "We will see if council is correct," it said. "We will test you. Our young warriors need practice. You will be their prey." Yuna's blood went cold. "We will give you time to run," the Rethok continued. "One of your days. Then we hunt. If you survive, we hunt again. If you die," it made that laughing sound again. Then council was right. Humans are nothing. Taretha grabbed her and began to carry her. They moved fast through the jungle, the strange alien plants blurring around her. She caught glimpses of a sky with two suns. She saw creatures moving in the trees that had too many eyes. They brought her to the edge of a cliff that looked over an endless jungle. Dark, thick, full of shadows and sounds. "Run, little human," the leader said. "Run and hide. Perhaps you will be interesting. Perhaps you will give us good sport." They threw her over the edge. She fell, crashing through branches and leaves, hitting the ground hard. Pain exploded through her entire body. Her broken leg screamed, but she was alive. Above her on the cliff, the Rethok watched. Then they turned and left, their laughter echoing through the alien air. Yuna lay on the jungle floor, staring up at the strange sky through gaps in the canopy. Her people had left her. The Rethok were going to hunt her. She was broken, alone, and lost on a world that wanted her dead. She should have given up. Any reasonable person would have. But something else rose up inside her. Something older than fear. Something that had lived in human hearts since they were small. Weak creatures hiding from predators in the tall grass of ancient Earth. The will to survive. Yuna gritted her teeth. She grabbed a branch and pulled herself up. Her broken leg dragged behind her, but she moved. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't have a plan, but she was going to live. And one day, she was going to make them regret not killing her when they had the chance. The first hunt came exactly one day after they released. Her Yuna had spent those hours crawling deeper into the jungle. Her leg was useless, so she had found a strong stick and tied it to her leg with strips of cloth from her uniform. It hurt so much that she had to bite down on her sleeve to keep from screaming. She found a small cave behind a waterfall. The water was strange and green, but when she tested it carefully, it didn't burn her skin. She drank. She hid. When the young Rethok came looking for her, they expected to find a corpse, or at least a crying, broken creature waiting to die instead. They found nothing. The first one to enter the cave died before it even knew she was there. Yuna had spent hours sharpening a stone against the cave wall. When the Rethok stepped through the waterfall, she drove the stone into its eye. The creature screamed and fell. Yuna grabbed its weapon, a short blade, and ran into the jungle while the others tried to understand what had happened. She ran as best she could with her broken leg. She ran until the screams behind her faded. She ran until she collapsed in a hollow beneath a fallen tree. That night, as the two suns set and the sky turned purple, Yuna looked at the weapon in her hands. It was crude by Rethok standards, just a hunting knife meant for skinning animals. But it was sharp, and it fit her hand well enough. She had killed one of them. She could kill more. The second hunt came 3 days later. This time, 5 rethought came. They were angrier now, more careful. Their young warrior was dead, and they wanted revenge. But Yuna had been busy. She had learned to walk despite her leg. She had learned which plants could be eaten and which would kill her. She had found a kind of mud that masked her smell from predators. Most importantly, she had watched the jungle. She had seen how the local creatures hunted, how they hid, how they survived. The Rethok found her tracks and followed them deep into the swamp region. They didn't know that Yuna had made those tracks on purpose. They didn't notice the thin vines stretched across the path. They didn't see the heavy logs suspended in the trees above. The first trap killed 2 of them. The second trap wounded another. The remaining 2 fled, clicking in terror. The news spread among the Rethok. The human was not easy prey. Months passed. Yuna's leg healed slowly and badly. It would never be the same, but she learned to move quickly despite the limp. She built a shelter deep in a region of the jungle that the Rethok called the Dead Zone. It was full of poisonous plants and dangerous animals. No sane creature lived there. Yuna made it her home. She learned the Rethok language by listening. When they hunted, they talked to each other. They thought she couldn't understand. They were wrong. By the end of the first year, she could understand everything they said. She also learned their weaknesses. The Rethok had thick skin, but their joints were soft. Their eyes were sensitive to bright light. They were strong, but slow when it came to quick turns. And most importantly, they were arrogant. They never expected prey to fight back. Yuna used all of this. By the second year, the hunting parties grew larger. 10 warriors at a time, then 20. They brought better weapons and tracking technology. It didn't matter. Yuna knew the jungle better than they did. She had become part of it. She killed them in the night. She killed them with traps and poison. She killed them with their own weapons, stolen from the bodies of the fallen. Each kill made her stronger. Each kill taught her something new. The Rethok stopped sending young warriors. They sent their best hunters instead, veterans of many campaigns. Even some of them did not return. By the 3rd year, they had a name for her. In their language, it meant something like the one who moves without sound. In human terms, it was simpler. The ghost. Yuna heard them whisper about her when they thought she wasn't near. She heard the fear in their clicking voices. She fed on that fear. It kept her alive, but survival was not enough. She wanted more. In the 4th year, something changed. A young Rethok named Orin came to the Dead Zone alone. He carried no weapons. He stood at the edge of her territory and called out in the human language, "Ghost, I want to talk. No fighting. Just talk." Yuna watched him from the shadows for a long time. She had killed dozens of his kind. She had every reason to kill him too, but something stopped her. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was loneliness. She had not spoken to another intelligent being in for years. She stepped out of the darkness. Orin looked at her. His yellow eyes went wide. She knew what he saw. A small human woman, scarred and dirty, wearing clothes made from animal skins and Rethok armor. Her hair was long and wild. Her eyes were cold and empty. She looked nothing like the soft creature they had released into the jungle 4 years ago. "Oh, what do you want?" she asked. Her voice was rough from lack of use. Orin knelt on the ground, a sign of submission among his people. "I want to follow you," he said. Yuna stared at him. "Why?" "Because my people have become cruel. We hunt for sport. We kill for pleasure. It was not always this way." He looked up at her. "You have shown us what we have become. You have shown us that the weak can become strong. I want to learn this." Yuna was silent for a long time. "If you follow me," she finally said, "you will be hunted by your own kind. You will never go home." Orin nodded. "I know." She should have killed him. That was the smart thing to do. Instead, she turned and walked back into the jungle. "Hey, keep up," she said. Orin followed by the 5th year. Yuna had more than just Orin. Other Rethok came, young ones who were tired of the old ways. She taught them everything she knew. She made them into hunters who fought not for sport, but for something better. The Rethok Dominion grew worried. The ghost was no longer just killing their warriors. She was corrupting them. She was building an army. They sent their greatest warlord, Vorn, to deal with her once and for all. He failed Yuna's forces. A small band of Rethok outcasts and human cunning drove Vorn back with heavy losses. The warlord survived, but his reputation did not. By the 6th year, the Dominion tried a different approach. They offered her a deal. Leave Korath 7 peacefully, and they would grant her safe passage. Anywhere in the galaxy, Yuna listened to their offer through a captured communication device. Then she smiled, something she rarely did anymore. She said, "I'm not leaving. I'm waiting." "Waiting for what?" the Dominion ambassador demanded. "For my people to come back," Yuna said. "And when they do, I will have something to show them." She cut the communication. The years passed. Yuna grew older, harder, more dangerous. She turned a hostile planet into her fortress. She turned her enemies into her soldiers. She became something that the galaxy had never seen before. A human who made an empire afraid, and somewhere, in the back of her mind, she held on to one thought. They left her behind. One day, she would make them see what that mistake had created. 8 years had passed since the New Dawn escaped from KOR Wrath-7. Taeho stood on the bridge of his ship, the horizon's edge, staring at the stars through the main window. He was 35 now. His hair was starting to turn gray at the edges. His face had lines that hadn't been there before. The guilt had aged him. Not a single night passed without him thinking about that moment. The moment he turned away, the moment he left Yuna behind to die, he had tried to live with it. He had told himself there was no choice. He had told himself she would have wanted him to survive. But the lies never stuck. The truth followed him everywhere like a shadow. He was a coward. And because of that, Yuna was dead. Humanity had changed since that day. The loss of the New Dawn had sparked anger across Earth. People demanded better ships, better defenses, better leadership. The old politicians who had supported careless expansion were voted out. New ones, more careful ones, took their place. Admiral Minho, the man who had given the order to leave Yuna behind, had risen to command the entire Earth fleet. Some people called him a hero for saving so many lives. Taeho called him something else in the darkness of his own mind. Taeho had become a captain. He commanded a small reconnaissance ship that traveled the edges of known space. His official mission was to map new systems and avoid contact with the Rethok Dominion. His unofficial mission, the one he never told anyone about, was to search. He never stopped searching. Every old signal, every fragment of data, every rumor about the New Dawn or Korath 7 he investigated. He chased ghosts across the galaxy, hoping to find something, anything, that would give him peace. And then, one cold night in the black space between stars, his sensors found it, a human biosignature. Coming from KOR Wrath-7, Taeho's hand shook as he read the data. It was faint, but unmistakable. Human, alive. "That's impossible," whispered Hannah, his xenobiologist. She was young, brilliant, and had joined his crew because she believed in lost causes. No human could survive on that planet for 8 years. "The signature doesn't lie," Taeho said. His voice was barely a whisper. He sent a message to Fleet Command. He requested permission to investigate. Admiral Minho himself responded. "Negative. Korath 7 is deep in Rethok territory. An unauthorized mission could start a war. This is not worth the risk." "Oh." Taeho read the message 3 times. Then he deleted it. "Let's prepare for jump," he told his crew. "We're going." Hannah looked at him with wide eyes. "You're disobeying a direct order. They'll court-martial you." "Let them," Taeho said. "I left someone behind once. I won't do it again." The journey took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of hiding from Rethok patrols, sneaking through hostile space, and praying that their small ship wouldn't be noticed when Korath 7 appeared on their screens. Taeho felt his heart stop. The planet looked exactly as he remembered. Gray and green, covered in thick jungle, with 2 suns casting strange shadows across its surface. It was beautiful in a terrible way. They landed in a clearing near the original crash site of the New Dawn. The old ship was gone. It's probably taken apart by the Rethok long ago. But the biosignature was close. Very close. Taiho stepped out of the ship first. The air smelled like wet earth and strange flowers. The jungle hummed with alien sounds. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then figures emerged from the trees. Taiho reached for his weapon, but Hannah grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said. "Look." The figures were Rethok. Large, gray, terrifying. But they weren't attacking. They stood in a line, watching the humans with calm eyes, and in front of them stood a woman. She was small compared to the Rethok. Her skin was tan and weathered by sun and wind. Her hair was black and long, tied back in a rough braid. She wore armor made from Rethok materials, fitted perfectly to her body. A blade hung at her side. Her eyes were dark and steady. They held no fear. Taiho's legs gave out. He fell to his knees in front of her. "Yuna," he breathed. She looked down at him. For a moment, her face showed nothing. Then something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, maybe even a trace of the girl she used to be. "You came back," she said. Her voice was different now, deeper, colder. "I never stopped looking," Taiho said. Tears ran down his face. "Yuna, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have stopped." Her voice was not angry, but it left no room for argument. What happened, happened. Guilt won't change it. She stepped forward and offered him her hand. He took it, and she pulled him to his feet. "I survived," she said simply. "That's what matters now." Hannah was staring at the Rethok standing behind. Yuna, they looked different from the ones in the military reports. Calmer, more controlled. "Are these your soldiers?" Hannah asked carefully. Yuna nodded. "This is Oren." She pointed to a younger Rethok at the front of the line. "He was the first to join me. There are others." Oren stepped forward and dipped his head toward the humans. "The ghost saved my life," he said in heavily accented human speech. "Many lives. We follow her now." Taiho couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You've built an army." "From Rethok, I built a family," Yuna corrected him. "An army is just what others see." She turned and began walking toward the jungle. The Rethok followed her without question. "Come," she called over her shoulder. "We have much to discuss." They walked for hours through the dense vegetation. Yuna moved easily, despite a slight limp that Taiho noticed. She knew every path, every hidden danger. The jungle that had once been her prison was now her home. They reached her camp as the suns were setting. It was built into the side of a cliff, hidden behind a waterfall. Inside were shelters, weapons, supplies, and more Rethok. At least 50 of them. Taiho sat down on a stone. His mind was spinning. "What is all this?" He asked, "Why did you stay? Why didn't you try to leave?" Yuna sat across from him. The firelight made her scars visible, lines across her arms and face that told stories of pain and survival. "At first, I stayed because I couldn't leave," she said. "Then I stayed because I had work to do. These people," she gestured at the Rethok around them, "they needed someone to show them another way. And I needed." She paused. "I needed a reason to keep living, and now." Hannah asked, "Why did you signal us? Why let yourself be found?" Yuna's eyes found Taiho's. "'Cause it's time," she said. "I've spent 8 years preparing, learning, building. The Rethok Dominion is afraid of me, but fear is not enough. I need to go back. I need to face them properly. And for that, I need humanity. What are you planning?" Taiho asked. Yuna smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who had walked through fire and come out the other side. "War," she said. "I'm planning war, and this time, we're going to win." She stood up and looked toward the stars visible through the waterfall. "They left me here to die. They hunted me for sport. They called humans weak, worthless prey." Her voice hardened. "I'm going to show them exactly how wrong they were." Taiho looked at the woman standing before him. She was not the young engineer he remembered. She was something new. Something forged by suffering and survival, and he knew with absolute certainty that he would follow her anywhere. The Horizons jumped back into human space, carrying the most dangerous cargo in the galaxy. When they reached Earth's outer stations, Taiho sent a simple message to Fleet Command: "Mission successful. Survivor recovered. Request immediate meeting with High Council." The response came within minutes. Admiral Minho himself was on the channel. "Captain Taiho, you disobeyed a direct order. You entered restricted space. You endangered your crew and possibly our entire relationship with the Dominion." There was ice in his voice. "Who exactly did you recover?" Taiho looked at Yuna. She stood beside him on the bridge, calm and steady. "Name is Yuna," Taiho said. "She was on the New Dawn, the one you left behind." Silence on the channel. Long, heavy silence. "Bring her directly to Station Prime," Minho finally said. "This needs to be handled quietly." Yuna took the communicator from Taiho's hand. "Oh," she said. Another silence. Then Minho's voice, tight with controlled anger. "Who is this?" "I am Yuna, the one who survived Korth 7, the one your council left to die. And I'm not going anywhere quietly." She paused. "In fact, I think it's time everyone heard my story." Before Minho could respond, she cut the channel. "What are you doing?" Hannah asked. Yuna walked to the ship's communication console. Her fingers moved across the controls with precision. "The truth," she said. "That's all." She activated a broadcast. Not just a fleet command. To every human channel in the system, every station, every ship, every colony, all of them. Then she began to speak. "My name is Yuna. 8 years ago, I was a crew member on the colonization ship New Dawn when we crashed on Korth 7 and the Rethok came. Our leaders made a choice. They left me behind to save themselves. They assumed I would die." She paused. Her voice was steady. "I did not die. For 8 years, I survived on a planet that was meant to kill me. The Rethok hunted me for sport. They called humans weak. They called us prey. Tier 2-9, the lowest classification. Barely worth noticing." Her eyes hardened. They were wrong. "I learned their language. I learned their weaknesses. I fought back. I killed their hunters. I made their warriors afraid to enter my territory. Eventually, I gathered others to my side, Rethok, who wanted a different way. I built something from nothing." She let that sink in. Humanity was never weak. We were never prey. We survived ice ages, plagues, and disasters that would have destroyed other species. We are stubborn. We adapt. We refuse to give up." Her voice rose. One human woman, alone and injured, made an entire empire fear her. "Imagine what all of us could do together." She looked directly at the camera. "The Rethok Dominion is going to respond to this broadcast. They will demand my return. They will threaten war. Our leaders will have a choice to make." Her jaw tightened. "I'm not asking anyone to fight for me. I'm asking you to decide what kind of people we want to be. The kind who abandon their own, or the kind who stand together." She cut the transmission. For a moment, there was silence on the bridge. Then Hannah let out a long breath. "You just told the entire human race that we were betrayed by our own leaders." "I told them the truth," Yuna said. "What they do with it is their choice." Taiho was watching the communication displays. Messages were flooding in. Thousands of them. Millions. People asking questions. Demanding answers. Calling for action. Yuna's broadcast had ignited something by the time they reached Station Prime. The news had spread across every human world. Crowds gathered at spaceports. Politicians scrambled to respond. The name Yuna was on everyone's lips. Admiral Minho was waiting for them when they docked. His face was pale with fury. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he demanded. "The Dominion has already sent a response. Warlord Vorn is bringing a fleet to our border. He's demanding we hand you over." Yuna stepped off the ship. She was still wearing her Rethok armor. Behind her, Orin and 3 other Rethok followed. The crowd that had gathered gasped and murmured. "I know exactly what I've done," Yuna said. I forced you to make a choice. Minho's eyes narrowed. You forced us into a war we can't win. Yuna's voice was sharp. You don't know what we can win. You've been so afraid of the Dominion that you forgot what humans are capable of. She looked at the crowd around them. Ordinary people. Engineers, workers, soldiers, families, all watching her. I've seen their empire from the inside, she continued. I've fought their warriors. I've studied their tactics. They are strong, but they are not unbeatable. Their greatest weapon is our fear. They want us to surrender without fighting. They want us to believe we have no chance. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. I am proof that they are wrong. I survived alone. Imagine what we can do together. The crowd erupted. Cheers, shouts, chants of her name. It was chaos and hope mixed together. Minho tried to regain control. This is madness. We need to negotiate. We need to give me up. Yuna cut him off. That's your plan? Sacrifice one person to avoid a fight? She stepped closer to him. That's what you did 8 years ago. How did that work out? Minho had no answer. A young officer pushed through the crowd. Taiho recognized him from Fleet Command. Admiral, the officer said, we're receiving transmissions from every colony. People are volunteering for military service. Ships are being prepared. The council is meeting in emergency session. The message was clear. Humanity had made its choice. Taiho stepped forward. He had spent 8 years carrying his guilt. Now it was time to put it down. Admiral Minho, he said, with all respect, you gave the order that left her behind. You don't get to decide her fate now. He looked at the crowd, at the cameras, at the millions watching across the stars. I was there that day. I was the coward who walked away when I should have stayed. I've lived with that shame for 8 years. But today, I can finally make it right. He straightened his back. Yuna survived hell because she's human. If we abandon her again, we prove we don't deserve to survive at all. Silence fell. Every eye was on Minho. The Admiral's face went through a dozen emotions. Anger, fear, calculation, and finally, resignation. He was a politician. He knew when the tide had turned. Fine, he said through gritted teeth. We fight. A roar went up from the crowd. Over the next days, humanity prepared for war. Ships were launched. Soldiers were trained. Weapons were built. It was the largest military mobilization in human history, and at the center of it all was Yuna. She didn't ask for command. She didn't need to. People came to her. Military strategists wanted her knowledge of rethought tactics. Engineers wanted to study the weapons she had captured. Young soldiers wanted to hear her story. She gave them everything she had, Warlord. Vorn's fleet gathered at the edge of human space. Hundreds of massive warships, carrying thousands of rethought warriors. They were coming to punish the species that had dared to defy them. Why? UNA watched their approach on the tactical display. Taiho stood beside her. Are you afraid? He asked. She considered the question. No, she said finally. I spent 8 years being afraid. Then I realized something. Fear doesn't keep you alive. Refusing to give up does. She looked at him. They're coming for revenge. They want to prove that humans are nothing. That I was just a lucky accident. A cold smile crossed her face. I'm going to prove them wrong, again. Outside the window, the stars waited. War was coming, and this time, humanity was ready. The Rethok fleet arrived like a storm of steel and fire. 300 warships crossed into human space, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Warlord Vorn commanded from the flagship, a massive vessel called the Dominion's Fist. He had come to end this embarrassment once and for all. On the human side, Taiho stood on the bridge of the Defense Fleet's command ship. Around him, officers worked frantically at their stations. They had gathered everything humanity had, 200 ships. Every soldier, every pilot, every weapon, it wasn't enough. Everyone knew that. But they had something the Rethok didn't have. They had Wana. Her voice crackled over the communication system. She was aboard a small, fast strike ship of her own design. Arin piloted while she commanded. All ships, remember your training. Don't try to match them in direct combat. Use speed. Use terrain. Make them chase you into our traps. She had spent weeks teaching human commanders everything she knew about fighting Rethok. Their weaknesses, their patterns, their pride. Most importantly, she had taught them that the enemy could be beaten. Vorn's face appeared on every screen. A forced transmission, overriding human channels. Humans, he growled, you have one chance. Surrender the ghost. Surrender your worlds. Accept your place as a conquered species. Refuse, and we will end you. For a long moment, no one responded. Then Yuna's face replaced Vorn's on the screens. She was smiling. Vorn, she said calmly, do you remember what your people told me 8 years ago? They gave me a head start before they hunted. Me. Her smile widened into something cold and fierce. I'm returning the favor. Run. She cut the transmission. The battle began. The first phase went exactly as Yuna had planned. Human ships scattered, refusing to form the tight formations the Rethok expected. Instead, they fled to hoard a nearby asteroid field, drawing the enemy fleet after them. The Rethok took the bait. Their massive warships plunged into the asteroids. Confident in their superior firepower, they didn't know that Yuna had spent weeks preparing this field. Explosives hidden in the rocks. Sensor jammers that confused their targeting. Fake signals that made them think human ships were where they weren't. The first Rethok ships began to explode. Vorn roared orders. His fleet slowed, became more cautious. But caution was a weakness too. While the main force was stuck in the asteroids, Yuna led a small strike team around the edge of the battle. Her target was the supply line. Rethok ships needed fuel and ammunition just like human ones. Cut off their supplies, and even the largest warship becomes useless. Her strike team hit the supply vessels hard and fast. In 30 minutes. They destroyed enough fuel to cripple a quarter of Vorn's fleet. When Vorn realized what was happening, it was too late. His careful invasion had become a desperate fight for survival. The battle raged for hours. Human ships were destroyed by the dozens. Rethok ships fell too, but more slowly. The numbers were still not in humanity's favor, but something strange was happening. The Rethok were not fighting the way they usually did. They were hesitant, disorganized. Their commanders kept second-guessing themselves. They were afraid, because everywhere they looked, they saw the ghost. Yuna's ship appeared and disappeared like a spirit. One moment she was attacking the left flank. The next, she was harassing the rear guard. She never stayed in one place long enough to be caught. She never gave them a clean target. She was doing exactly what she had done in the jungles of Korath 7. She was hunting them. Finally, Taiho saw an opening. The Rethok center had weakened as ships moved to chase. Yuna, he gathered the remaining human ships and drove forward. The collision was brutal. Ships on both sides shattered. Fire bloomed in the darkness of space. But the human fleet punched through. They reached Vorn's. Flagship Yuna was already there. A small ship had latched onto the hull of the Dominions. Fist, she and Orin had cut their way inside, while the battle raged around them. Now she moved through the corridors of the enemy flagship. It's like she had moved through the jungle. Silent, deadly, Rethok warriors fell before her. Some she killed with her blade. Others Orin handled with the strength of his species. They worked together perfectly. Two hunters who had spent years learning each other's ways, they reached the bridge. Vorn stood waiting for them. He was huge even by Rethok standards. Scars covered his gray skin, proof of 100 battles. His yellow eyes burned with hatred. Ghost, he snarled. You should have died on that planet. Yuna stepped forward. Behind her, the sounds of battle still echoed through the ship.
Ow.
Everyone keeps telling me that, she said. And yet here I am, Vorn roared and charged. He was fast for his size, faster than she expected. His first blow nearly took her head off. She ducked, rolled, and came up with her blade cutting across his arm. Black blood sprayed. Vorn barely seemed to notice. They fought across the bridge. Consoles shattered. Sparks flew. Oren tried to help, but another Rethok guard intercepted him, and they crashed through a wall together. Yuna was alone with the warlord. Vorn caught her with a backhand that sent her flying into a wall. She hit hard, felt ribs crack. For a moment, darkness swam at the edges of her vision. Weak Vorn spat. Soft. You are nothing. Your entire species is nothing. Yuna pushed herself up. Blood ran from a cut on her forehead. Her body screamed at her to stop. She didn't stop. You're right, she said, breathing hard. I'm weak. I'm small. I'm soft. She raised her blade. But I'm still standing. And you know what? That terrifies you. She attacked. The fight was not pretty. It was not elegant. It was desperate and ugly and raw. Yuna used every dirty trick she had learned in 8 years of survival. She threw sand in his eyes. She stabbed at his joints. She bit and clawed and refused to give up. And slowly, impossibly, she began to win. Vorn was strong, but he had never fought someone like her. Someone who didn't care about honor or glory. Someone who only cared about one thing, surviving long enough to land the killing blow. She found her opening. His left knee, damaged from one of her earlier strikes. She dove low, driving her blade deep into the joint. Vorn screamed and fell. Yuna stood over him, panting, covered in blood that was both hers and his. She held the same blade she had taken from her first kill 8 years ago. The blade that had kept her alive through everything. Should have made sure I died, she said quietly. She ended him. When the news spread that Vorn was dead, the Rethok fleet broke. Ships fled in every direction. The Great Invasion became a rout. Human vessels chased them to the edge of the system and beyond. Humanity had won in the weeks that followed. The Rethok Dominion sent messages of peace. They withdrew from contested space. They agreed to treaties that recognized human sovereignty. The Galactic Council changed humanity's classification. No longer Tier 9, no longer prey. Admiral Minho resigned. His role in the New Dawn incident was now public knowledge. No one would follow him anymore. Taiho became the youngest fleet commander in human history. He had finally found redemption in Yuna. She stood at a memorial built for the crew of the New Dawn. Stone pillars listed the names of those who had been lost. Her own name was carved there too. They had thought she was dead. Hannah found her there, watching the stars through the memorial's glass dome. The council wants to give you a medal, Hannah said. The biggest honor they have. What should I tell them? Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Tell them I'm not done, Hannah frowned. What do you mean? Yuna turned to face her. Her eyes held something ancient and fierce. Something that had been forged in fire and would never be extinguished. The Rethok aren't the only ones out there who hunt the weak. There are other worlds, other species being treated the way I was treated. People running, hiding, hoping someone will come. She straightened her shoulders. I'm going to find them. She began walking toward the docking bay where her ship waited. The galaxy had learned an old truth. Humans were never meant to be prey, and Yuna would make sure no one ever forgot it.